rising stars. So we recognize people, you know, in different fields and different stage of their career. So make sure you check out the website. And then there's a couple events coming up. We have our monthly breakfast on 24th and a Women in Tech meetup on 25th. And then another event on February 28th about use your strengths to stand out in the college admission process. Great if you have adult, you know, like teenager kids. And on March 2nd, we have the science of relationships. It's interesting things. We don't really have things about relationships. So that's a pretty interesting event. So we can start with our event today, AI-powered social commerce. So we have Joy here. So Joy is a old friend of mine. She graduated from MIT, and she has a very technical background. She's been in high-frequency trading for many years. And then she realized her true passion comes to AI. And then that's why she made the switch a few years back, right, Joy? Now her company MEI actually recently closed a new $5 million funding from top global VCs. Congratulations, Joy. It's really hard to raise funds during COVID time, so that's really exciting for you. And then Joy, you know, has a gold medal in Math Olympics, and she has won many awards from Goldman Sachs, top 100 women to watch. So it's, you know, it's really great to have you here, Joy.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm really glad we're doing this coffee chat because, to be honest, I'm pretty bored these days during COVID. You know, my head is always down building the company. I don't actually have much social time, so I'm excited to, you know, be very social today with, I saw a lot of
just move here, there's a bit more
women participants here today, so we're gonna have fun.
So Joy, could you tell us a little bit more about yourself and your experience in e-commerce and content marketing and AI?
Yeah, so my background was actually like a hybrid of very nerdy and very social. So I was actually a gold medal in Math Olympics in China. So I spent 17 years in China and then 17 years in the States. I was actually the only international student at MIT that year for undergrad. So I definitely feel like a hybrid of two culture and but the other side of me that I'm very artistic, very social. You know, I was a TV anchor, so you guys can probably feel a little bit of my, you know, animated personality here. I was a TV anchor for 10 years when I was in China, actually anchoring for children's programs. So, you know, I will introduce, you know, anime, things like that. So actually, this is my third startup. My first startup, I started at MIT, actually copying Mark Zuckerberg at Harvard, because I'm actually same year as him. You know, I was in a Jewish sorority at MIT, AU Phi, and he always come over to the Jewish fraternity, and you know, we have a kosher kitchen. So I actually watched how Facebook grew, and we actually created a Facebook for Chinese overseas students. That's my first startup. And we quickly, become the monopoly of, the Chinese overseas students market. And I sold it successfully to a China social media company. That was back in 2006 and 2007. Afterwards, because I was an international student, so, first generation immigrant, I had to, get my own H-1B, get my work visa, because I was very mathematical, got a gold medal in math background, and my major was econ and math at MIT. I started to work in high frequency trading. My strategy was actually making 100 grand to 200 grand every single day. I kind of become like the niche word for me in the field is like I'm the fat squeezer. So I find the fattest undiscovered market and I will squeeze the fat out of that. So for example, we discovered many what we call like the virgin market when US market was highly developed, extravagant already. We find many markets in Asia, and then we use the same US styles of trading strategies on Asia market and was able to make a fortune. But still, as a girl, my passion is in shopping. I'm sure all of you guys are. I spend a lot of time, browsing online what I want to buy. I always wish that there's one thing that can help me quickly discover what I want to buy, do like a high frequency shopping. So that's when I started and this is, many years ago. And actually, I still remember I met Carmen right before I start my, third startup. So now she kind of watched my whole journey.
This is great, Joy. Thanks. So we everyone know here use a version of like e-commerce, right? Amazon clearly the dominating sort of e-commerce site in the US. So where do you see the biggest opportunity for the retailers in 2021? How do you think brand can better connect with their customers? Obviously, if you sell through Amazon, then you have a layer right between you and your customer, right? Your I guess your connection is kind of lost in between. So what do you think about e-commerce in 2021?
Yeah, that's a great question. For me, like it's always good opportunities. And I know a lot of retailers nowadays are stressed about making the decision whether they should join Amazon or not. There's definitely pros and cons. Amazon is really great with logistics. They can actually help you handle many of the logistic shipping part. But at the same time, their traffic is actually not so expensive. I know many people compare, the buying traffic from Amazon versus from Facebook versus, setting up your own Shopify store and, buy traffic from other social media. And then, most people actually end up finding Amazon still the cheapest way. But there's lots of risk come with, onboarding Amazon. Like they really own your data. They understand what products are selling well. So if people don't know, actually most products, almost 80% of products nowadays selling on Amazon Prime is Amazon self-operated products. Whenever they see some products are selling well, they started making this their own product so they can squeeze the most margin out of it. And this is, their game. And even, to be honest, Amazon still doesn't make money. The one that makes most money for Amazon is actually AWS, the cloud engine. So Amazon itself, they're still losing money, but they make money from the data, and they know these data are most valuable. Eventually, they will make money once they dominated, the whole consumer shopping behavior. If everybody starts shopping on Amazon, then they can keep raising prices. It's funny because I used to shop Amazon a lot, but recently I stopped shopping at Amazon because I realized everything is just getting too expensive. I was like, wait a minute, this is like twice as much as if I just go to a store, but go to a store is not convenient these days. They used to be cheaper, but now they're not. I think that's, they're trying to make more and more money. So I think I'm not afraid of Amazon. I think none of the brands or retailers should be. I think you should realize, your special ability, your product, it's the most important thing. And in the US, there's still lots of opportunity how you can get quality traffic. I think the traffic is the hardest thing today. If you're not on Amazon, if you're not paying, even if you're on Amazon, you have to pay for the traffic as well. So how do you get cheap traffic? That's the most important thing. And that's why I actually built because I see the same problem. Initially, I didn't really build for, to solve brands problem. I was really building it to solve a consumer problem for myself because I want to be able to quickly discover products from social media, from influencers, images or videos that I watch, because that's what I spend most of my time on. But eventually we actually realized, our best customers are actually brands because they are the ones that needed these traffic from social media the most at the best, value. So that's I don't want to, talk too much about my company because I think today I want to mostly answer people's question is about the market.
It's actually a great segue, Joy, about the questions. So one of our audience, Jennifer, already asked, like, how do you apply AI to commerce, right? So what have you done to sort of solve that problem? As you said, you sort of pivot MEI from customer sort of centric to like brands, to more focus on brand. So can you tell me more about how you think AI can work for e-commerce, and like what do you do?
Yeah, sure. I think there's roughly around 3 ways that AI can help e-commerce. The number one is discovery, which is what we do. We help consumers to quickly discover brands, product from social media. I mean, maybe I can do like a 1-minute video, share my screen and show you guys what it looked like. So this is kind of like what we do. You know, we use AI technology to do social commerce. When user is watching a video, let's say you want to shop what's in the video, you click on a button and the product will just pops up. And you can click on the product and shop right away. So for me, this really satisfies my, my immediately need of product discovery while watching content. The experience is very customizable. So you can, I'm sure you guys watch Amazon Prime videos a lot. So when you pause the video, you see who are the actors and actress. So here, if you pause the video, you also discover, what each actress or actor, what they're wearing, similar products in different price ranges that you can shop right away. So we actually launched with China's Facebook. So China's Facebook is kind of like the Instagram/Twitter of the US. I'm gonna go back a little. If you click on one of the image, so imagine this is like an Instagram with 9 images. You click on one of the image, there's a button, a shop button at the lower right-hand side. You click on it, you immediately see the products inside. And we also do this with China's Netflix/China's YouTube. There's a search button on the lower left-hand side. If you click on it, you instantly discover, what the celebrities are wearing in the show. And we can choose to put just one item, the authentic item, or similar products. So we have the options, depends on what the brand's needs are. So, so this is what we do. We mostly help consumers to quickly discover brand products, kind of skipping, Amazon, skipping lots of, these middlemen. So we help brands to immediately to be seen. So that's what AI can help in one of the, discovery. But the other, I think there's 2 other things that AI can really help in retail. Which is also just gathering consumer data, like understanding what consumer really trying to buy these days. So when we actually creating the system, we also collected lots of data on what people are buying on social media, what social media are showing that people are liking, that gaining popularity. So these data actually give us great insight on what the consumer actually want. So I think this is very important data, for any brands out there, so they don't keep too much inventory, and inventory is expensive. The other side is from the consumer experience, it's personalization. So if you understand what each consumer, you keep a data trail of them, what they're buying, what they've been browsing, then you can do better recommendation. I think, there's lots of discussion about privacy issues in the field. There's actually a survey for consumers and asking, are you willing to share your purchase data and browsing data with the retailer so that they can do better recommendation for you? And actually 80% of them said yes. But of course, there's certain privacy data they don't want to share. But for retail, there's tons of flexibility because consumers are actually very open about sharing, their retail interest and history, so they can find things they want to buy faster.
Great, thank you, Joy. This is a really interesting video. And then please keep the question coming in. We usually reserve the last 10-15 minutes for questions, but if you have questions along the way, we're happy to ask them as well. So Joy, you just raised your another round. So could you share some lesson learned with us and during COVID time, and how did you build your team, your products throughout this turbulent time?
Yeah, that was not easy at all. Like I couldn't see 90% of the investors. And to be honest, the ones that invested are the ones that actually met face to face. I really, took a risk. I get on the flight because I realized if I don't do that, they can't just invest in me over Zoom. It's doesn't matter how much they like the company. At the end, it's a trust issue. How much they trust you. They want to see you in action. Like they want to feel your, your energy to feel like how, whether they want to put their money in you. I think, the biggest thing, raising money or building the company at all, it's really handling people. Like during COVID, I get all these weird questions from investors, and sometimes you just have to understand you don't have to answer all of these questions. Like I know there's a bunch of women here. I had male investor ask me, are you married? Do you have kids? And I when I was first as an entrepreneur, I always answer those questions, and then I can see doubts coming from their eyes. Doesn't matter what I answer. If I answer I'm single, they say, well, that means you're gonna get married later. If I answer I'm married and don't have kids, they will say, well, then what happened if you had a kid later? If I answer I'm married and I have kids, then they will ask, okay, then how are you gonna have time for the company? So it doesn't matter how I answer, they always gonna, use that as a doubt. So I realized, sometimes the best answer is, like I had the urge to ask my employee this type of questions too, and realize that's illegal. It's actually illegal for employer to ask employee this type of questions. But however, in an investor to investee relationship, this is legal. It's not perfectly appropriate, but it is legal. So if you're really interested, I can answer you this question. But if you think it actually matters, then I don't have to answer you. So, so I think, being an entrepreneur, you sometimes you just really have to have that bone inside you. And when you show that bone to others, they feel more confidence in you. They can see you, able to handle, hopefully in the future, hundreds of people working for you. Yeah.
That's really funny. Like, well, doesn't matter what you answer, it's always going to be a problem. It's kind of
Yeah. Especially, if it's a man, I know we have a lot of women here, so I'm being a little more open about it. Asking these questions, you can see that, but we have so many amazing women entrepreneurs that have multiple children. And for example, the eBay CEO, Meg Whitman, there's so many examples like this. I think we just need more people. I hope all of us eventually become successful, so we have a bigger mass, we have a bigger data to show them.
That's great. That's great. This is really great feedback. We have one more question from Alexa. So she's asking, can you speak more about your company and the features and functionalities offered to our partners? Assuming partners means brand partners. So could you speak about that?
Yeah, so we actually compare, our recognition ability, actively with Google, with Amazon. They actually have fashion recognition technology. But the problem is these companies are too technical. Like they don't really use it for the best user experience. So I really think, at the end, it's not about the technology. It's really about the user experience you build with the technology. For example, if I go to Amazon, Amazon have like a shopping, you upload a image, you can find the products in the image. But do you know how many people actually will upload the photos just to search? It's very, very little. We actually did a benchmark that the amount of people will upload a photo to search versus the amount of people who are looking at their favorite content and simply willing to click a button to search what's in their favorite content is 1 to 500. So what we're doing is actually capturing the market of 500. And unfortunately, doesn't matter how big your technology is, if you cannot go like Amazon, if they cannot go outside of their own Amazon app or circle, the experience is going to be very limited for consumer, for their discovery journey on social content. And we are actually the only company that have video recognition technology in the entire world. We also realize, video is a new future. We all know TikTok is now kind of dominating, the social media in the US and in the rest of the world. I think young generation, Gen Z, they love watching short videos versus a photo because it contains so much more information than just an image. So we are actually the only company that have fashion video recognition, and that's how we're able to launch with, the players, we need to work with is there's two of them. There's content platform, media sites. So we have to integrate, with China's Facebook and China's YouTube. And on the other hand, we integrated with brands, but the brands is the easy one, the brands and retailers, because they all have like a very big need to reach more consumers. And we actually only charge, when a product is sold or we direct them to new users. So for them, they're getting very good value through us compared to if they go on marketing on Facebook or Amazon, you sometimes you pay for random clicks or random views and you get no real results.
Yeah, that's great. Since you mentioned TikTok and other social platforms, how do you think they're transforming the e-commerce space? Do you think people are gonna be more geared towards watching videos and shopping inside TikTok, or how do you think it's gonna change going forward?
Yeah, it's very interesting. Actually, TikTok in China, they already have 30 billion transactions just for consumers shopping on TikTok in China. But TikTok in the US, it's right now is still an infant stage. I think it's also, China just a little more early on social commerce compared to the rest of the world. But US, it's definitely upcoming. We actually see Facebook investing so much. Actually, funny, I got so many recruiter emails from Facebook saying like, they're trying to recruit me to Facebook commerce team, blah, 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 because they're trying to, everyone is trying to do their own social commerce this year. Social commerce is like the hit word, not only Facebook, not only Amazon, we see Walmart investing heavily on TikTok because everyone realized that there's so much potential on getting the traffic from social to retailers, to brands. So it's really whoever can make it happen wins. And to be honest, I think TikTok have a great potential. So I don't completely blame Trump on blocking TikTok on this. Not that I agree with all his other policies, but for this one, I do think they kind of predicted how powerful TikTok can be. So they have to, the US have to step in, and then I think it's a good thing that now the data is contained by Oracle, so people can have more privacy. But they're going very strong. But however, there's also limitation because most social content platform they have a hard time transitioning from social to e-commerce. I think we see this with Facebook, we see this with Instagram. They've been trying to do social commerce. I would say for them, like they've been trying for over 10 years, but they're not getting very far, right? So I think there's many reasons because it's like the DNA of the whole company, how they make sure they have previously a social team, now they have a successful commerce team, how that can be integrated without disturbing the user experience. So there's lots of internal conflicts in these big companies to how to make social commerce happen without damaging the social part. So I think the process will still be very slow, but I think there's going to be a new black horse coming up in the market then somehow just focus on social commerce. Because in China, there's already a player like Little Red Book, really just focus on social commerce. Every social content is for shopping, and they're about to go IPO. They're doing really well. US doesn't have that yet, but I think it's going to happen. Mm-hmm.
That's really cool. Yeah, I sometimes use the Little Red Pocket. It's actually funded by HBS alum as well, in China. Another question coming from the audience is, how would you benchmark your company's ability to recognize fashion styles versus like other AI players in this space?
Recognize fashion styles.
The accuracy,
yeah.
the recognition, and then shop the product.
Yeah, we compare technology, with Alibaba, with Google and Amazon. These are the three companies that currently have image recognition, but none of them have video, and video is actually the future. So and also, we really focus on fashion. I think all these other companies, all these other three big companies, they try to recognize everything, not just fashion. But when you do that, you realize you have a lot of false positives. For example, like as a funny example, like if I upload an image with a hat, right? And then, Google actually said it was like gorilla. Someone who has like a furry black hat. Like, so there's I think there's certain, so AI is that simple, like really it outputs what you input. So I think we keep our AI algorithm very clean, that is really focused on fashion, shopping, and then we're adding beauty shopping next. So that will be very exciting. We focus on these, women consumer sectors. So we make sure like we don't pollute the results with other random categories. But that's something that you will always get with these big companies.
That's really interesting to hear that. Is there a way you can share some case studies or conversion metrics from your technology for brand retailer partners, or like a range of conversion metrics? Can you share that?
Yeah, I will give you guys a quick little math. So we add the search button, on social content, on images and videos. So let's say 1,000 people click on the search button. They will see the results, and 10% of people will actually click on the results. So we get 100 clicks on the products, and out of that 100 products, we got on average 1% of them will make the purchase, finish the transaction. So basically, out of 1,000 people who click on a search, who see the result, 100 will click and 1% will buy. And on average, each product is worth around $40 for fashion, and we typically take 10 to 15% commission out of that. So we make like $4. But to get that 1,000 people to click on the search button, to be honest, we only spend 30 cents. So our margin is actually really great. We have like a 90% margin, and no one else can achieve similar click-through rate or purchase rate. These purchase rate, think about it, it's not like you're shopping on Amazon. It's actually, the moment you're looking at Facebook, and then we direct you to the brand checkout site to finish the checkout. So it's actually jumping from one platform to the others, but we can still achieve like over 1% transaction rate.
That's great. So how do you compare? How do that 1% compare to other methods of, I guess, e-commerce or marketing, advertising?
Yeah. So if we're talking about the same experience, like jumping from one platform to the other, then the purchase rate, on average is actually 0.02%.
Oh, wow. So it's much, much higher, right?
This is much higher. I think it's much higher because, because most advertising, brand advertising, you're pushing a product to the consumer at random times, right? We all see advertisement like throwing at us, even though you don't care about it. But this one is actually, it's considered like a pooling. So you're looking at the content you like and you're curious what is in there. So you click on the search button. By the moment you click on it, you actually already super interested in the products. So afterwards, there's almost no waste. So I think that's how we can help social platform to keep their social experience still very clean and not damaging their social experience, while we help brands get the best conversion and actually targeted conversion.
It's very interesting. Now, how do you train your algorithm for fashion? That's another question from Jennifer.
Yeah, like, the training part is actually easy. The data collection part is hard. So to get clean data, we actually have a 20 people team in China, and some of them actually disabled. So like, and these people, they're disabled and maybe they don't have a high degree of education, but it's kind of like a partial philosophy. Like we give them something simple to do. They have to label the data. We send them here the image, and find the products in this image as our training data. So we so we actually are able to help like 20 people who previously unemployment and give them a new job to do. And I think this was particularly helpful during the US China trade war, when lots of, the factories in China have laid off, their labor, many people are unemployed, then, we can reutilize these labor, give them something easy to do. But it's actually, it really helped our algorithm, because if you feed the algorithm dirty data, doesn't matter how great you train the data, it's going to come out dirty.
That's really interesting. Never, yeah, it's great that that's you get a different workforce to do the cleaning data part. So a lot of question coming from, in terms of your operation. So are you primarily right now in China, or are you, I know you're a New York-based company, are you doing things in the US? Can you talk about difference in Chinese and US markets?
Yeah, so much difference. I think I was lucky that, I came to the States when I was 17. I experienced so much culture shock. So now everything just seems normal. Like all the culture difference are, I can laugh it off, but there's so many funny stories. We are a global company, and right now, we are focusing on China because China, the social commerce is taking off much quicker. The consumers are also much busier on their phone for some reason. It's really interesting if you go to like a dinner in China, like with a group of friends. Like sometimes I get offended because everyone will be on their phone. Like it is considered normal. Like you go to dinner, in the US, everyone put down their phone and then you focus on the conversation. But in China, everyone have their phone. And then look at their phone while talking to you. So, but it's considered the norm. So this is just how, how big that difference is. And also, in the US, I think because we have, most people are, the economy are still better than China on average. US is a developed country, China is still a developing country. So, we easily get access to these great products. We can go to the mall, even if you're in suburb, you can go to a nice mall. But in China, if you're in a second or third tier city, you really have no way to even get access to good brands. Like there's no, malls, nice malls in these second or third tier cities, only in the top tier city. So 90% of consumers in China rely on shopping online. And that's how, Alibaba become so big so quickly in China. And of course, now we have many other, JD and Pinduoduo, like many other huge retailers in China. And in the US right now, we still just have Amazon kind of like the one dominating one. But I think, with COVID pushing everything digital, we will see new players coming up in the next 5 years. Mm-hmm.
That's great. So why do you think social commerce, as you said, is taking off much faster in Asian markets than in the US? Why do you think that's, is people more prone to do social media stuff? That's why they lead to more shopping online, or why do you think that caused that?
Yeah, I think definitely there's social reason, and also it's economy reasons. I think the social reason is that because China is a developing country, they still very much have that look up and look down mentality. Not like US, people are very equal. Like when I go out in the US, hang out with my friends, I barely dress up. I just want to dress comfortable. I don't care how people, think of me. I barely put on earrings, but I put on earrings for you guys today. So, but in China, you have to dress well. People look down on you. I think that's like a social reason. And, in Chinese community, they're always looking at celebrities, what they're wearing, what influencers are wearing. They try to copy their style, try to learn from, the top tier demographic. So I think there's a huge social difference, and economy difference is that, in the US, people are better off. You rather, go, and there's so many nice stores around you, even in the suburbs. You can easily walk in a store, try on things before you buy them. But in China, there's no nice stores. You have to kind of rely on shopping online. But they buy 10 things and return 5 of them, and they're used to that.
So what's the experience scaling your business in China or any other markets?
Yeah, I think it's very different. We also have Japanese clients. I think China, Japan, and US, and we also have Korean clients. You can see how they're all slightly different, but they're also very similar. I think the similarity is that you have to build trust. But I think with different countries, building trust have a different timeline. Like I think with Chinese community, like it was slightly faster for me. I think maybe because I graduated from MIT, just like you guys graduate from Harvard Business School, like with that title, going to like China or any other country, they immediately look up to you because you're like the top 0.1%. So I think the trust building in China for me, that was a little faster. In Japan, it's coming from a good school also helps, but also like you have to be very careful what you say. Like you cannot oversell yourself. You have to like under promise and over deliver every single time to build the trust, because they're very, very sensitive about whether you're saying something that is not 100% true. And I think US is a little more freestyle. I'm actually more relaxed in the US when doing business, because I think it's more straightforward. It's more about do you have value here, and how can we help? How can they get value? Why you get value? I think because US maybe it's like it's a capitalism country, in the history. So as long everyone getting an interest, things can move pretty fast. But the US, I think, on the other hand, the culture difference is like the legal part. The legal part is kind of headaches in the US because legal is so important. Like whenever you work with a company, you also have to spend a lot of time paying attention to the legal paperwork. I think that was a little different from the country. So in the US, we have, we spend a decent amount of money just on legal, making sure everything is correct, and I think in the other countries, it's slightly different. They are more relying on trust and relying on, your delivery. And then in the US, it's still heavily, based on, legal. Are you invading the privacy, or, is everything legally compliant?
Got it. Yes, it definitely take a while to do a lot of legal process and compliance, and in finance, I definitely feel the pain. So another question about your operations. So how do you manage your team and operation in China while you're based in the Bay Area? Especially global travel now is limited, and I know also you have a family, so how do you manage all those things?
Yeah, you have to, I think the number one thing is that you have to trust people. You have to trust that there are people who can do better job than you in things. I think at the beginning, I was a little control freak. I try to manage every little details, making sure it's right. And now I learned that, we have to give younger people or other people chances. So in China, I actually hired a China CEO, and she is doing great. I talked with her daily for at least an hour. She really making sure everything goes smoothly, and then she's on the front line right now. And we also hired a China COO. So these people are, I talk to them, I trust them. I know them for many years, and I think remote is still difficult. Like I really wish I can travel right now, but I think like anything, in life, it's never perfect. You just have to make the best with what you got in any situation. I think most women here, we all understand that, especially we have families, and there's, so many things we have to juggle, but you know what, like you have to delegate. So I think delegate is a key. Like at home, I have a daughter, my husband, it's a doctor, so he's very busy, and I hired a nanny, so the nanny is, taking care of most of, the housework, so I can focus on work. So I think we all have to find help, so that we can have time to do what we actually want to do.
That's really great. You definitely need help when you have running a business, and when you have a daughter at home during COVID time. So another few technical questions, like when you integrate with Facebook and YouTube, did you have to pay them part of the commission? Do you have to share commission? And what's the integration process like?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So we actually, our business model is that, we are advertiser. So we actually pay, Facebook or Netflix or these people to place advertisement, but we do we're not like any random advertiser. We only place advertisement when user click on the search button. So there's an integration part with the search button. And then we get paid from brands and retailers. So that's actually, initially we try to get paid by social media, right? But we realize that process is actually very, very slow because for them, like they felt like they're paying for technology. They don't know exactly how much value it will bring. They don't know the ROI, and they have to spend time, their team have to spend time to not only pay you and then integrate with you. It's hard to justify the ROI. But when you switch the table, when you say, hey, I'm paying you, I'm your customer. If you make this happen, I'll bring you this much revenue. Then it kind of changed the dynamic. So that's how we do. Like we are advertiser. We advertise on Facebook, on Google, on YouTube, and we help the brand advertise through us. And in return, we actually make a decent arbitrage. But the reason we're able to make that arbitrage is also because we really keep the data of what consumers really want to purchase. So we show the most effective, advertisement on the right content at the right time.
Got it. So another question is, do you have any inspirations to move beyond fashion at some point with the video recognition technology?
Yeah, we want to eventually do it all. I think the next one we're going to do is beauty, because beauty have a very similar demographic like fashion. It's mostly women who have purchasing power, and also beauty actually are making more money than fashion industry these days, because when you buy the beauty product, you can't really return it if you open a bottle. But when you bought a jacket, fashion jacket, you can always return it. So I think beauty retailers these days are actually growing faster than lots of fashion retailers. And so we are actually, and also you don't have to worry about, return and whether the size will match the person. There's lots of many less headaches have to deal with. So that's the next sector we're going to enter.
It's really interesting. So I guess, so for you, I guess men's fashion is part of the thing you guys do, or just mostly women's fashion?
Yeah, we definitely do men's fashion. Yeah, but actually we noticed that some of the men make shopping decision even faster. If they are a user, they're actually potentially higher purchasing power, because they really, people who use our technology are the ones who don't have time to shop in stores.
Got it. So from your, I guess you've been in operation for a few years now. So from what you see in your data or people shopping habit, do you see a lot of people using your functionality in the longer video or shorter video, like TikTok videos, or longer like YouTube like videos? Like where do you see clicks from?
Sure. I think, right now, based on the data, the best conversion comes from short video. So short video have roughly around 3x more conversion than photo, and long video have the worst conversion. But I think it's really about user experience. So when we first launched with long video in China, with China's YouTube, we didn't get many purchase at all. But eventually we realized, it's not because these users don't want to purchase, it's really because they're too busy immersed in the content. They can't get out and make a purchase at that moment. So we actually developed a new tool where they can save the results they liked when they're watching a long video, and then they can come back to it later after they're watching the show and finish shopping. So I think that is actually, helping speeding up the transactions. And with that, we actually, helping brands and retailers to directly integrate on the shopping ability into, China's Facebook and China's YouTube. Because before we have to direct them to a retailer site to finish the purchase, but now people can actually purchase directly on the social platforms. So that will, and these brands, basically it's like a little mall, right? Can be plugged in social media platform without doing.
It's great. It's another question actually just about that. So how do you leverage any third-party platforms? It's a perfect question. Or do you develop anything organically in-house, or do you leverage third-party platforms?
We do leverage third-party platforms, but I think the core technology, we still build it in-house. Because the core technology, you want to be able to quickly, improve it, capture more data, for example. But for example, we use Google Analytics just to quickly able to, draw trends. So we don't have to draw trends ourselves, plugging with our own data. And using, when we do AI, we use, Facebook's Detectron, and we also try like Google's TensorFlow. So, but still the core algorithm it's better to build it in-house. But everything else who is not core, I really recommend people like try to use as many third-party platforms as possible so you can go faster.
Right. And then also another question for Alexa, can you speak to the end-to-end customer journey with your product? What's the experience like?
What is the experience like for the end consumer?
Yeah, I assuming the end customer is consumer, yep.
Okay, yeah, so I really shared a quick video. I'm not sure if everybody caught it. Basically, for example, when you're looking at a photo on Facebook or you're looking at a video, on YouTube, there's a shopping button on the, at one of the corner. If you click on the shopping button, the product will be recognized and pops up on your screen.
So whatever is in, I guess, it's in the picture, right? In motion in the video, right that second, will sort of come up, right? Not the one before, right?
Yes. So we'll basically show you the result within a second. We actually, for the most popular content, we actually pre-process it so that the results always instant and most accurate.
And then when you click the button, and then you can just take you to whatever the shopping e-commerce site, right? Either the company's own website or Amazon or any other things, right?
Yes. Then once you click on the product, will direct you to the product detail page, basically the checkout page. So it's really 3 clicks: 1 click on the shopping button, 1 click on the product, and 1 click checkout.
So if you, let's say you don't want to check out at the moment, can you save that or it's just gone? You can go back and.
You can save it. Yes. So that's a new feature we recently just added, and it's a really exciting feature because even though the purchase rate is 1%, but that means 99% of people are interested, but they didn't purchase. So we call them the window shoppers. The window shop. So we save what they like, what they search. Later they can come back and finish the transaction.
Another question about the shopping experience. So how do we compare to shoppable stories on Instagram and sponsored posts? I need to, I bought a lot of things through those platforms. So how do you compare that using ShopSell app?
Yeah, so I think the difference is that, all those sponsored posts, you can see the exact product. So all those posts, are content created for the product. So it's not really organic social commerce. It's almost like planned social commerce. So what we do is more like organic, spontaneous social commerce. So when you see something you like, even though it's not really a content sponsored by a brand, you can still shop it. So I think that's the beauty of it.
And then, so another question is, can shopper buying products from different different brands, multiple brands?
Yes,
right?
That's the number one thing when I designed it, because that's how I shop. Like I don't want to do, I really want to see everything that's available, because otherwise it take me too much time, especially in the US when you have to, Amazon doesn't have great fashion options at all. So you have to go through, Lululemon to Athletica to like Banana Republic, go through all these sites and then you compare. It's a lot of work. So we actually gather all these data from different brands so you can instantly discover them at once.
And another question from Elizabeth is, are you open to investors? So she is on the board of Land's End, e-commerce site, and then she's angel investor focused on tech enabled female-founded business. So she loves to hear if you're open to new investors, even though you just close a round.
Well, I think if you can bring a synergy value, for example, with Land's End, I'm always interested.
Cool, Elizabeth, if you want her Joy's email information, feel free to reach out to me or Kathy. We'll give you her email address.
Awesome.
Yeah, and then let me see, did I miss any other questions? I think I covered most of the questions. If anything I missed, Kathy, let me know. But yeah, Joy, this is great. Lots of information, and then I know you've been very, very busy, so thank you for taking the time to speak with us. Any last things you want to share with us? Any lesson learned? Anything interesting observations in the e-commerce space?
I think
Or what's your plan in the US right now? Like, how can we be helpful?
yeah, I have my very ambitious plan. I do think, US is lacking a focused social commerce platform. So I do plan to, get my knives sharpened in China market first. And then, from, what I learned, from the best over there, and then hopefully we'll find the best angle in the US to quickly help more consumers to find products they want much faster and shop right away. So I think I really enjoyed this, this coffee chat with all of you. I really love all the questions, and I'm also like a woman advocate. So if any of you, want to reach out to me, power up or anything, feel free to email me.
Yeah, I think that's it. We have one more question from Jennifer. So what's the biggest challenge you face putting this company?
It's
briefing this question.
always people, it's always people. Like, how do you handle people when they have frustrations, when they have doubts of you? How do you convince people to work with you? How do you convince investors to invest in you? And I think in the end, I think my answer is just like, to be completely honest. Like I had the moment that, I felt like I'm trying to sell something I don't have yet. I have done that, when I was an entrepreneur, early stage. But now I'm at the point that, we just, you just got to trust in yourself. Like, I know everything I do is coming from goodness. So therefore, I'm very confident and in everything I do. And I know I'm not here to try to harm anyone, to my employee. I almost see them all like my children. I want them to do well. I want them to get to the next level. And with my investors, I see them as my partners as well. I think the biggest challenge, if you understand people, like, we're all the same, actually. I think we're all very similar, especially when I, do AI. I see how people, the consumer behavior, like our click-through rate, our purchase rate is so stable. I was like, how can that be so stable? Like, it's ridiculous. That just means, we all made so similar. I think when we understand that we're all very similar, we can unite better, and people will be willing to listen to what you say better.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Joy. This is great. Thank you, everyone, for all those wonderful questions. So we're definitely enjoying listening to Joy, share those insights. So thank you. And then if you want Joy's contact information, again, feel free to reach out to me or Kathy. Yeah, or email the club, and then we'll get back to you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Kathy. Thank you, Joy.
That was excellent. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Bye, everyone. Francie, what's your business?
Hi, Kathy. I own a business called The Sixes. It's a direct-to-consumer fashion e-commerce brand that caters to women 5'7" and taller.
Great. So this was fascinating for someone like you.
Absolutely, absolutely. Social commerce is a as she mentioned, a buzzword, but it is, I think, where e-commerce is going. So I've been looking a lot at what Facebook has been doing so far, and there are a lot of problems, particularly for small businesses. So it was good to see how she was approaching the problem.
It's good. Well, thank you for joining us. I'm going to shut it off now. I got
Yeah, of course,
everything.
I'm hopping off. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.